Before we jump in, today's episode is our first guest who is a Laid Back Magic member. Andrea is one of my true OG members, and she just got back from an early February trip with her husband, their 2 kids who are 3 and almost 5, and her parents. It was also the first trip where Andrea used DAS, which is the Disability Access Service over at Disney World, and ended up doing a little bit of a mix of DAS and Lightning Lanes, trying to figure out where that combo actually made sense for her. And we also get into the stuff that makes a trip feel really good, and that is just really knowing deep down what to skip before things start kind of going off the rails and how to pivot. Okay, without further ado, welcome Andrea to the podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. I'm your host, Dana Stanley, creator of Laid Back Magic. As a mom of 3, I know how tough it can be to find time to plan a Disney World trip that doesn't leave you feeling stressed or overwhelmed. That's why I'm here, to help moms like you create Disney vacations that feel even better than they look on paper. Here, we're not chasing perfection, but creating our next favorite memories. So whether you're brand new to Disney or looking to go deeper into the details, this podcast is your go-to for simple tips, mindset shifts, real-life trip recaps, and expert insights to make your trip magical and manageable. New episodes drop every Monday, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment. Okay, let's dive in. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for coming on the Laid Back Magic Way podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. You are one of my first, truly first Laid Back Magic members. And so when I saw that you were going to Disney, I had to get you on to talk about your trip, because there was a lot of, you've been to Disney before, but there was a lot of new things for you. And I love seeing how each trip is different. And you had some little hiccups with rides being closed and things like that. Can you start off by just a quick rundown of where you stayed, maybe a little bit about the weather? Because when we're recording this, it is mid-February and you just got back, which I know the weather has been crazy all across the country and freezing. And then also the ages of your kids and kind of what they're into right now.
You bet. So we stayed at Riviera, and this is our second time staying at Riviera, and we rented points to do that. We stayed in a 2-bedroom villa. We went February 1st through the 7th, and we're coming out of Boston, so it was super cold when we left and also super cold in Orlando when we arrived, much to my dismay. We did 4 park days in that week that we were there. My kids are 3 and almost 5. They are super into Toy Story, super into princesses, love Small World, love the pools. We watch the different YouTube videos of the Disney pools, the Disney resort pool sometimes on TV for entertainment. And it was an incredible trip, but there were definitely some things I needed to be prepared for.
Obviously, you went back to Riviera, so you know that you like it. We just stayed for the first time last summer, and it's such a beautiful resort.
It is. It's a gorgeous resort. And in full disclosure, I tried to get Grand Floridian first because that is my mom's favorite resort, and my parents came with us. So it was myself, my husband, our 2 kids, and then my mom and dad, which has been the same group for the past 3 years, actually. So this is our 3rd time going as a group. There was nothing available at Grand Floridian by the time I decided, yes, we're going, let's go. And I would say that was probably late summer that I decided to take another trip. There was just nothing. And I even had Melissa McGill look for me. She was scouring in all of her travel agent magic that she works. And it was just well, if you want to try to stay at one of the 2 resorts you really want to stay at, then let's look into renting points again, which I think is always a smart idea. It's worked out really well for us in the past. And it has saved us money. We've always had good experiences with it. But even with renting points, Grand Floridian wasn't available. So I said, well, we had a great experience last year at Riviera. Sorry, Mom. We're going back to Riviera. And of course, the kids were thrilled because unlike you, Dana, they love the Skyliner. It's like their favorite ride in all of the parks.
If I could just walk to those places or teleport myself, it would be definitely tied with the boardwalk for me. It's just such a good resort. It has really great food. So I'm trying to think of the timing for when, because I think you went through DVC rental store.
I did. Yes.
So you put in a request, not a confirmed, like you didn't buy a confirmed reservation.
No, I couldn't. I looked at the confirmed reservations and they were either too short or not at the exact time that we wanted to go. Early February seems to be our sweet spot for when we like to go. Kudos to you for going in the summer. I could never. It would be too hot for
I
me.
can't either. And I think we're going back this summer. And I'm like, what is actually wrong with me? But I think a lot of it is timing. So we are more like last minute with Disney lately. And I don't know why, because do as I say, not as I do. I get asked a lot about renting DVC points and when and how long does it take. And some people kind of misunderstand that if the rooms are gone, it doesn't matter if you're booking through Disney or you're booking through DVC rental store or maybe another broker. Once they're booked up, they're booked up. And I'm assuming in your case for Grand Floridian, it was probably like the room size. Maybe they book up really quickly because it's very hard to get a 2-bedroom at Boardwalk as well. Because we're in the same boat as you when we go as a big family, like every other year with my in-laws, we need a 2-bedroom at the Boardwalk. And I'm like, are there like 5 of them? I mean, obviously I could find out how many, but there just doesn't seem like there's a lot. So I'm wondering if Riviera just obviously has more of them available.
It kind of seems like it because they have, these 2 huge wings, the East Wing, as you know, and the West Wing, and then sort of a smaller portion that's right by the Skyliner, and that also has DVC rooms. So it just seems like they have more villas available.
Well, and they learn. I love not quaintness, but I love the smaller, lower resorts like Boardwalk. Grand Floridian is really sprawling, but they learn how they need to fit more people and they need more DVC rooms. So it sounds like you put in a request, let's say 7 months out. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you from when you put in your request to hearing back?
A few days.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that we rented points 3 years ago, I was DMing you on Instagram saying, I haven't heard back. It's been a day. Are we not going to get a room? But you just give it a little bit of time. They send you an email. Someone was willing to rent to us. And they're also very, very responsive. So any questions, any concerns, they're right there to email you back, which it's nice. It's a more high touch experience than I was thinking it would be.
No, it's just a good thing to keep in mind that A, it does save you a ton of money. B, the stars kind of have to align. You have to be like a little bit flexible, especially if you were going for like a confirmed reservation, which I really like because I go last minute. Usually there is nothing, like truly nothing available. And 9 times out of 10, I do that confirmed reservation, but you have to give it some time. I get asked this a lot, how we stay at deluxe Disney resorts without paying the full Disney price. The short answer is renting DVC points. And specifically through DVC rental store. It's how we stay at places like Animal Kingdom Lodge or Boardwalk for significantly less than booking direct. You're essentially renting points from Disney Vacation Club members, which means you're getting the same resort, same room, just at a better value. And for me, that matters because it gives us more flexibility with what we can spend on the rest of our trip, like character dining and lightning lanes. I use DVC Rental Store because they handle everything for you. Low upfront payment, flexible cancellation options, and a really straightforward process so there's no guessing or lots of back and forth. If you're planning a Disney trip and want to explore staying deluxe without stretching your budget, click the link in the show notes. Going into this trip, were you celebrating anything in particular, or is this just kind of like your annual February, your parents come type of trip? Or was there like a specific thing that you wanted to get out of it?
There was not a specific thing that we were celebrating. And it's funny because you're bringing me back to when we went, because every restaurant we would go to, a cast member was saying, are you celebrating anything specific? We're like, no, just kind of life, getting out of the cold. And Disney has been a very easy place for my family to vacation, which I didn't anticipate. Once I had children, I thought, oh my gosh, like this is going to be so much work. And, I'm not going to like it as much as when I used to do my little girls trips with my mom for a long weekend. But it has ended up bringing our family, like my parents and my husband and I, and of course the kids, just so much joy. Disney makes it easy for parents, especially when you are planning and you have the right mindset and you can be a little bit more flexible and meet your children where they're at. My children happen to be on the autism spectrum, so I kind of have to live my life like that anyway. But Disney makes it so easy to meet my kids where they're at, have their needs catered to. There's a lot of really inclusive understanding that I have found amongst cast members and how the parks work. And if you just explain a little bit about what's going on, you're afforded allowances and treated with a lot of compassion, which is nice. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we keep going back, is because I can't imagine having to drag my kids to Europe. Like it would be a disaster. Like they wouldn't be able to handle that. Like sitting in restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, or like traipsing around, a big city. So I think it's one of the things that we've realized just really works for our family and who our children are, and brings us all a lot of joy.
The other day, I guess it must have been my friend who got back from like a beach vacation, which like everyone likes taking their kids to the beach, but it is so hard. It is so exhausting just taking your kids to the beach. And I mean, listen, where I live, which is like tons of kids, tons of families, young families, and there's certain restaurants we can't go to because they don't have high chairs. I just think of that, like, because people will maybe be nervous to even go to like the nicer sit down restaurants in Disney World. And I'm like, no, this is when you do it. Like, go to like the nicest place that you want to go to, because there will be kids there. California Girls, Citricos, there will be kids. You'll be shocked at how many kids there are. Your kid will not be the loudest one. And because the cast members, like, they're dealing with people from all over the world in all different scenarios. Like, they have truly seen it all. So they know how to handle things and kids that might need some special attention, or even from their diets, versus like your small town, the people, they're not used to that. Did your kids end up, because this autism diagnosis is like a newer thing for you, what was different about this trip since then than like the other trips with them?
I think the difference is with this trip, I understand a lot more. My son was diagnosed over the summer. My daughter was diagnosed in the fall. The kids haven't changed who they are. I always knew that there was, things that I was going to have to make concessions on in order for everyone to enjoy this trip, which is one of the reasons why I love Laid Back Magic so much, is because it set certainly my family up for success. It makes me feel like a success doing these trips. But this year, what I was able to do is use the DAS pass. And that was a huge difference, although a slight learning curve for me because I had never used it before. And it's pretty hands-on in the My Disney Experience app. But that also made a huge difference. We were able to do a little bit more than I thought we would, because my kids, they can't wait in line. They just can't. Like, I have to be prepared to just leave. That's okay. That is okay. That is our reality. So if we're in a line, even if it's only like 20 minutes, we might be 5 minutes in and like the kids just can't deal. And so we leave. Where the DAS pass really helps us is it eliminates all of that. All of that. So you still have to wait, whatever that allotted time is, but you can wait somewhere other than in line. And then you can walk up.
Yeah, it's like you're virtually kind of waiting in line.
Exactly.
Is kind of how it works without actually having to be there. You're like saving your place.
Right.
Without making the kids have to just sit there.
Yeah.
Did you also use lightning lanes or a mix of both?
Yep. I did a mix of both. And because I didn't have a lot of experience with the DAS pass, and Melissa McGill really helped me and walked me through what that process would be. And
Yeah, she's really
yeah,
knowledgeable with
she
that.
was amazing. She sent me this like one pager. So I felt really set up for success when I spoke with the cast member explaining, the children's situation and diagnosis in order to obtain a DAS pass in the first place. Because I wasn't quite sure how it would work, I am very familiar with lightning lanes and do the laid back magic lightning lane planner and all of that. So I was like, I'm not going to tempt the fates here. I'm just going to do what I know how to do. And this will be a good learning. If I end up saying, well, I guess we didn't really need lightning lanes this day, I'll know for next time. But I ended up using both.
And how do you feel? Do you think you liked having both? Or maybe not for every single park?
Yeah, I think that was my big takeaway is probably not for every single park going forward. There were some parks where it was really helpful to have both. And then, for example, Epcot, I didn't really need both because the Remy was the big ride that we were excited to go on and the kids love it. And it's my dad's favorite ride and it's just adorable. But other than that, and Frozen was closed.
Yeah. So I know that was like it's open. When this airs, Frozen is open, so nobody fret. But I know this was a big kind of wrench in your plans because there's a ton of things for kids to do in Epcot. But in terms of rides, Frozen and Remy, like those are the top two. So if you take Frozen out, which was under refurbishment for literally just while you were there, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you plan around that? Because I'm sure that was you would have done both, right? The kids like Frozen too.
Absolutely. Right. And that's when I booked the lightning lanes. That's what I was anticipating doing is I thought in my mind, I had it all in my laid back magic sketch. We're going to do early entry, go to Frozen. Then I'm going to have a lightning lane for Remy because you can only have, one lightning lane for either Frozen or Remy.
I know. It's hard. You have to choose.
So I had planned on doing both of them. Then I thought, well, what the heck am I going to do for the rest of the time with Epcot now? Because don't come at me, but I love Nemo, living with the land. I thought my family was going to kill me for taking them on it.
Your dad didn't like it? I feel like it's kind of like a dad ride.
I know. I think, but my husband was, just meh. It was fine. And my mother literally was shooting me dirty looks saying, what is wrong with you? Why would you? This is never going to end. Like, what are we doing? I was like, you were a teacher. You don't like this? What's the matter with you? And the kids are too short for almost everything else. And it was too cold to do Moana's Journey of Water. Like it was way too cold on our Epcot day.
Was it even, they had it running, I'm assuming, right?
I didn't even try. Some things were turned off due to the weather. It was really cold.
Because it was cold. Like how cold was it?
I mean, in the morning, it was in the 30s. And it would climb. It would climb to like the 50s and some days it was lower 60s. But I mean, I had my son who's very temperature sensitive. He was in like 3 shirts, his jacket from home. The kids had beanies on. I mean, it
sounds like you were prepared though.
Yeah. And I thought, well, we were also coming from a cold climate. So we went on the plane with our jackets and our hats and sneakers and pants, but I refused to bring more pants on that. I was like, I'm going to will the sunshine and the warmth. So I wore my cut off shorts like every day. And I was chilly, but it was sweatshirts and shorts. But
you're like, I wore them every day and I was cold.
I wore them every day. And I was exactly. I braved it. So yeah, I don't think for every park you would need it. And I also think because my kids are little and we're primarily sticking to those smaller rides, like think Fantasyland, think Adventureland, the People Mover. I'm not coming in needing to go on Tron and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Haunted Mansion and all of the super, super popular rides that you're going to wait for a really long time in, for example, at Magic Kingdom. So the DAS pass was plenty. Where the lightning lanes really helped me though is with park hopping, because one of my favorite things to do is do like Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom in the morning, take a break in the afternoon, go to the pool, have a nice spicy margarita at Bar Riva, feed the kids, and then go back to Epcot for like dusk, early evening. And so I used lightning lanes to then book Remy again for the evening. And then we wouldn't have to get into the park.
With DAS, can you do multiple parks if you're hopping?
Yes. The thing about DAS is you cannot pre-book anything. You have to scan into the park. And then you have to physically be inside the park to book anything. So what you would do is I scanned in, I would open the My Disney Experience app, a DAS icon comes right up for me. I would click on that, click the park that I was in, and then look at the rides and see what I would do. And you could do one ride at a time. Then once you scan into that ride, you have to wait 10 minutes before you book anything else.
Okay. So it sounds like if you are even using DAS, but you're park hopping, being able to like be at the pool and be booking rides for later. Cause it's kind of like if people ever use Genie Plus, you can't really stack like you used to, but you can kind of stack a little bit if you're going somewhere else. Because that's the nice thing about lightning lanes is they do follow you. And then you could ride Remy's twice.
Exactly. And what I didn't want to have happen is because, evening's one of those times where it could be a little bit of the witching hour for the kids. Like it was either going to go really well or it wasn't going to go well at all. But they did awesome. But I knew that there would be a long line for Remy's. And it was a 65-minute wait. So if I didn't book that lightning lane in the afternoon when we were at the pool, I would have had to scan in and it was like, I don't know, 5 o'clock or something, wait till after 6. Then, it was just a lot in the evening to do that. So
yeah. And especially when you're like, we usually are coming from the International Gateway, which was included with Riviera because all of the Skyliner resorts are getting off at that same area. I either like doing Remy's first or when I'm leaving. Like, I don't really like waiting around in that area. You can certainly kill a little bit of time, but I agree. It's usually just nice to just get in, use a lightning lane, and move on to other things. What was your favorite thing of the trip?
I think it was park hopping to Epcot in the evening on our last evening. We had just had this like wonderful trip, like so many great memories, so many things were worked out so well. My littlest just fell in love with every fuzzy character she could find, whether it was one of the bears from the Country Bear Jamboree or Daisy Duck at Topolino's.
Oh, she liked the Country Bears.
She ran up and gave one of those goofy bears the biggest hug you have ever
That's
seen.
Funny. Because they could go either way.
Yeah, they're goofy looking. I'm like, okay, yeah. Good for you, sweetheart. I don't think he looked at his face. But I think just seeing that, she just loved giving them a hug. And, they would give her this big Disney hug back and not let go. I loved seeing that. Character breakfast at Topolino's is always a highlight. It's great food. It's interacting with the characters.
It's so nice when you're there.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. And we just had to go upstairs. We were in the same wing. Had to go upstairs and we had hit all the things that the kids really wanted to do. Like they're obsessed with Small World and they're obsessed with Ariel's Under the Sea Adventure, and the People Mover is like a big hit for them. So that last night I was like, I really want to go back to Epcot. I want to get some champagne in France, walk around a little bit, take some pictures, go on Remy's one last time, get back on the Skyliner and just like wrap up our trip with a nice bow. And it worked out great. Like everyone was just like super happy. And it was just a really nice way to end things.
Isn't it amazing how every trip is different? Even if they go every year, it's never the same trip. Even if you do all the same things, the kids respond to it completely different. It's
true. I thought because they're so into princesses that they would love some of the character meet and greets with the princesses. Well, that was a hard no. I tried that once. I was able to book a DAS pass to meet Ariel in her grotto, and the kids were not into it at all. They could not have sat further away from her. Emmy did not want a hug. So I thought, okay, this was day 2 in the parks. I'm not going to book any of these anymore. We're not going to wait for this anymore. I'm just going to shift gears, know that Emmy really wants to interact with our fuzzy animal characters and Mickey and all of that. We're just not going to do this.
That's so smart to do in the beginning of a trip too. Or maybe someone if someone doesn't know how their kids are going to react to a character, you should just do a regular old meet and greet. Like you said, like just meet Ariel or meet Mickey and just see how they respond, because you might have like a storybook dining or Akershus or something with princesses. You might want to cancel that.
If they're, and I did.
That's so funny. What did you have?
I had Melissa actually booked me Akershus at, which I should be able to say that better. My dad is from Sweden. I don't know what my problem is.
That's how you say it, right? Like it's Akershus.
I mean, he would say it probably a little differently, but yes, basically, I think
ask him and get back to me.
I will. I know it's technically Norway, but I mean, the Scandinavian languages are close enough.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, so we had lunch reservations for Epcot that Melissa was able to book me at Akershus. And once I realized that they weren't that into interacting with the princesses, I thought, well, I'm not going to spend this money. So we ended up doing quick service at Regal Eagle in America. And it was the biggest hit ever. My parents loved it. My husband, who is from Kansas City, so he like knows good barbecue. He's like, this was great. I would definitely eat here again. Who knew? I did not think that was on our bingo card.
And you probably felt so good too. You were like, you're welcome.
I was like,
you're welcome.
Yep, you got it. The kids got watermelon.
You probably spent an eighth of the price.
100%. Absolutely. It was so much less money. And it was something that, it would have, that's something that would have felt a little bit disappointing, right? Is spending all this money on a character meal that I thought the kids would really enjoy, because that's who you're doing it for, right? You're doing it for the kids so they can have this like magical experience. And then if they didn't want to interact with the princesses, that would not have felt so great. So it was nice to kind of test things out while we were there ahead of time. Another way that testing things out or park hopping really helped us was my parents were kind enough to watch the kids for Dave and I Tuesday night. That was our second park day. We did Magic Kingdom in the morning. We came back, we swam, we fed the kids, and Dave and I took the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios. And I said, I want to go on Slinky Dog because the kids, well, Emmy's too short, but Patrick has been saying, I want to go on Slinky Dog. I want to go on Slinky Dog. And I'm thinking, this is a really, really big roller coaster. I just don't know.
So did you want to test it out for him?
I tested it. Exactly.
And what was your consensus?
So it was a hard no.
I know.
My husband and I both,
turned.
I mean, I loved it. We both thought it was a ton of fun. And that's also another place that the lightning lanes helped us, because it was just my husband and I. So we're not eligible, for the DAS without having one of the kids with us. So I had booked a lightning lane for that. I booked a lightning lane for Millennium Falcon, and I booked a lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance, like all for us to do back to back.
That sounds so fun.
On a little date night. It was great. The Millennium Falcon made me a little
barfy,
nauseous.
But we won't talk about
it. It did. Yeah. It was, I was, that wasn't my favorite. It was cool, but it wasn't my favorite. But so that we booked lightning lanes for those, tested out Slinky Dog. I immediately thought, no, we will traumatize like my sweet little sensory sensitive boy.
Yes. Slinky is an interesting one because it has a height limit, but it's not like a 42-inch. It's like it's in line with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So it's like supposed to be a kid roller coaster, but I get a little scared on it. Like, I'm a little scared. I mean, I'm obviously scared of heights. Everyone knows this. And I think that's why I like riding Slinky Dog at night. I think it's so much more fun being all lit up. But I think a little bit of it is because I can't see as much. But there's like that one turn in the beginning that's, it kind of, you're not at like a total 90-degree angle. But when you're like kind of looking over at your kid, you're like, ooh, that is, and you don't tell them that. You're like, woo. Yeah, my kids, I'm trying to think how my oldest did it. My girls are funny because they will try anything once, but then what scares them makes no sense. My oldest does not like People Mover, loves Millennium Falcon, loves Haunted Mansion, or all of, the darkest rides, but something about People Mover. But it's smart to either go on YouTube and literally type in like Slinky Dog POV, like a front row POV video. And then the second best is to get on it yourself first. And now you know not to encourage, because some kids do need, like, you don't want to force them, obviously, but some kids, they'll like it. They're just a little nervous. That's how my oldest is. So I kind of have to, because again, People Mover, like really. So sometimes you want to encourage them, but it's not worth it if you actually think it'll terrify them and turn them off to other rides.
Right. And that was my bigger concern. So it was really, I felt fortunate that we were able to get on first and say, okay, this is not for him. And we were both in agreement. So I knew that we were making the right decision because we're not always on the same page with those things. One parent will push it more. Yeah, we were both like, oh no, nope. We're going to say that it's our standard line is, oh, they're cleaning it. They're cleaning it today. We're cleaning Sleeky Dog.
That's actually really smart. I'm going to steal that. Or just rides that I don't want to get on sometimes. Like it must be closed for cleaning. Now that you have 3 trips under your belt, what advice would you give if someone's listening? They're planning their first trip with their kids. Maybe they're worried about their kids in particular, how they'll handle things. They're feeling overwhelmed at things going wrong. What advice would you give them?
I think the laid back mindset, as much as you can have that through your planning, will help you to be able to make those strategic choices or changes depending on what's going on with your kids on that particular day or in that particular moment. And I think what's funny is if you talk to anyone who knows me really well in my life, no one would describe me as laid back. Like zero people who know me would call me laid back. But I think that that's where I've really been able to find a lot of joy and feel successful in booking these trips and have like my husband and my parents be like, oh, like, way to go. We had the best time and all we had to do was follow you around. And it doesn't stress me out. And I don't know every park really, but I feel like I know Magic Kingdom decently well, like in terms of like geographically. I didn't know Hollywood Studios very well, so there's always going to be something that could have gone better or that you wish you knew a little bit better, or we could have done this. But if you can plan up front to the best of your ability, how you think things are going to go based off of your family and your kids and what you think is best for them and what they really want to do, then the rest can kind of fall into place and you can make those decisions and say, you know what? Okay, we're not going to meet any more princesses this trip because that wasn't a hit. So what can we do instead that you would enjoy just as much? That to me wasn't a fail.
Well, and I think your trips, like you explaining this trip too, I think your trips are successful ones in terms of successful for what you and your family want. Because again, that's going to look different for everybody. But you have that perfect mix of like, probably because you're not laid back like me, is you are knowledgeable in the sense of like you're researching ahead of time. You're doing the planning ahead of time with that mindset of like, this is my plan, but it's still going to be great. Like, it's not going to look anything like this. You just kind of know that off the bat, but you do need those anchors and guidelines instead of just you can't wander around willy-nilly. You need to have that plan that you think of ahead of time. And then when small pivots, like your Regal Eagle, ends up being great.
I think too, having the planning and taking a lot of the guidance out of the laid back magic program is going to help too. So you're not traversing across the park. Like my parents are not super young parents anymore. They're senior citizens. My dad's back hurts. I can't expect him to walk everywhere. Like that's just an unrealistic expectation. I went back to work today and they were like, how was your trip? Do you need a nap? I was like, no, I need to ice my knees is what I need to do.
The back, the knees, all the things. Yeah. We can't be going hard is the point. Like,
yeah, no. And what does success look like for you? For me, it's not being in the park from dawn through fireworks. Like we don't do fireworks. Patrick, there's no way that he could handle it. I don't think Emmy would like it. Like I'm not going to impose that on them. I'm not going to feel like I'm not getting my money's worth because we didn't see the fireworks. I feel like I am getting my money's worth when we can have that Disney magic in the morning and then we go back to a beautiful resort and can swim, and my kids love the water and really enjoy like the splash pad and all of that. And that's fun for me to see too. And I can't get that where we live.
I was going to say, if your kids are watching Disney resort pools on YouTube for fun, then your best money spent is chilling at that resort pool.
Like, I'm not going to book Bippity Boppity Boutique for Emmy. She won't let me put a ponytail in her hair. So she certainly is not going to let someone else.
I know. You know, I have 2 girls, and I'm so thankful that I got to see my niece experience it when she was younger, because my girls are not bippity or boppities.
They're not bippity or boppity.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. I didn't get either.
Emmy wouldn't even let a cast member at Sir Mickey's put pixie dust in her hair. I thought for sure she'd want some pixie dust. Oh no. That was a hard no. So that dream.
Kids
that
are
dream
so
left.
funny.
I know. So particular. I think too, again, just knowing, being able to spot, kind of feel out where everyone's at, like halfway through the day too. We had lunch at Liberty Tavern, which the men in my family really love that food at Magic Kingdom. And then I had booked Peter Pan for the afternoon. Patrick really wanted to go on People Mover again. So we walked to Tomorrowland after Liberty Tavern, did People Mover. And I'm looking at my mom, looking at the kids, looking at my dad and my husband. I was like, we're not going on Peter Pan. We're going to go back to the resort because we still have to wait for the bus. Because we weren't going to get a minivan back to Riviera. So we had to wait for the bus, go back to the room, get changed. I just thought, if I push Peter Pan on everybody right now, I think someone's going to be unhappy. And it might be one of the adults, not necessarily the kids. But I had to just say, okay. And I asked my mom, I said, do you care if we skip Peter Pan? She's like, no, I think we should go. And I said, great, let's go. To me, that's not a failure because we missed out on one ride. It's just kind of taking the temperature of where everyone is. And I knew that we had a ton of other great stuff lined up for the rest of the trip. So fine, let's skip it.
I'm just so proud of you for the work that you put in, because it's a lot of work. And I know I can see like the questions that you ask and things ahead of time, and working with Melissa, and then you had the DAS on top of it. It's a lot of work and time. And then also not letting like, oh, I put in all this work. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to do Peter Pan. We're going to get our money's worth. It would have reversed all of the work that you did. And I'm just so proud. Little claps for Andrea.
Thank you. I mean, you should really be patting yourself on the back because it's your program that enabled me to plan this way and to learn. I mean, how many DMs over the years?
I'm like, I'm not telling her to say this. I'm not telling her.
No, she's not. Honestly, no. No, I know you're not. But every time someone's like, "Oh, I'm thinking about going to Disney," I was like, "You need to follow Disney."
Oh, thank you. Well, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Instagram. Thank you for having me.
You're my first member on the podcast, and I knew right away that I wanted to have you on, and just so happy that you came on. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and it was helpful for you, it would mean the world to me if you'd write a quick review. Your reviews help more moms like you find the show, and I read every single one of them. Seriously, thank you in advance. You can find me on Instagram at Somewhere Worthwhile, and I'd love to hear from you there. DM me if you have any questions about this episode or what you'd like to see in future ones. Until then, keep planning for your next favorite memory, and I'll see you next time.